today was that I wanted to show you a little bit of my process from start to where I am now, which is in progress. So I started with just a simple sketch that's really messy. You can see there it's kind of grayed out. And then I was working with just drawing by hand with vector, and I showed you some of this already. But last night when I resumed working on it, I wanted to make that ellipse sort of shape. I made it once using the outline method that I showed you in class, but then I realized, gosh, I'm never going to be able to draw the same sort of, shape and line it up. So I realized it occurred to me I could just duplicate that layer and then kind of copy and drag it out. So that's what I did. And also, then I wanted to move my circle with all its little details into place, kind of like a yolk on an egg. And I realized that I would be foolish to try to do that in parts. Fresco has this multi selection of layer feature, and you can just click on it and select things without merging them into a flat layer and compressing them, which is always a good option. So I selected them and I moved them right into the position I wanted, and then I could go forward from there. So that teeny tiny video right there is the way that I did it, and you can see right on there how to do that yourself. Okay, so I definitely encourage you to watch that. Again, like the others, it's not super long. Okay, but it's helpful, and if you don't know those things, then that's something that's going to help you no matter what your artwork is. Okay, so on this slide, I just started throwing up the stuff that I was going to do as I started to progress and get some new ideas. So I would just want to show you this in Fresco overall. Okay, so look at my layers palette. Oh, actually, I forgot. I want to show you the other one first because I actually have two documents. First, I was doing all my work on this one. Okay, so this is like my line art, and I have everything on its own layer, which is a really good idea. Okay, I've been really kind of harping on people like that, but I don't mind because that's when you teach Photoshop, that's about all you do. It's harp on people about using different layers. So it turns out that's exactly the same in the app as it is on the desktop. So first, I just had these drawings here, right? And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that, but I didn't know what to do next because the lines on the sphere that were like kind of winding down, I like them, but the sphere in the background just seemed really disconnected. So as a composition, it wasn't done yet. Like I liked where I was, but this isn't enough. It wasn't connected together, the background and that focal point, which is like a subject. So I started to have this vision. Well, first of all, I should mention how I made those straight lines. It just occurred to me. So I drew the sphere and I drew the ellipses, and then I wanted to make these lines coming out. And I am not a math person. I think probably any time spent with me already, you know that. So the first thing I did was make, I think I made the vertical and I made the horizontal. You see that? And then I wanted to make like lines that got, or sections really, that got wider because I'm going to treat them differently, and fill them in differently. So I started by measuring, like I wanted one that was like about this wide. So I made it exactly 15 degrees. And then I wanted one, I wanted one that was up here. So when I started measuring that one, I was like, ooh, I want it to, how about if I kept that same like mathematical sort of ratio? So then I put it 15 degrees from 90, which is 105. And so I kept that. And I'm, like I said, I am not a mathematical genius, but even I could see that that was going to keep like the same distance. And it didn't get too mathy. I just kept, I only had to add or subtract 15, and I was able to do that because even I can handle that. Okay, so then I had that and I'm like, I love it, but what am I going to do to integrate the foreground and the background basically? So it came up, I had this idea in my head. I was envisioning like when the other thing was that I've been talking so much about the live brushes, and some of my students and things I've seen online are just amazing with those. So I was thinking now's the time for me to try it. So I was picturing like the oozing, dripping things that sometimes people do, and how, and I've done that with like alcohol inks and stuff. I really like that. But combining that here, and in some areas having flat tonal color, and other areas having the live brushes. So I started by just drawing straight lines with the ruler, kind of coming down. And then I started to picture what it might look like if they were like kind of converging and running together. So that's what I started to draw in. And I really like the way that they look like they're kind of like and running along the edges and cracks. And I know what they're going to look like as far as like which ones come together. It might be hard for you to see right now because I don't have any color in there, but that's what I'm intending. So then I have all these layers, and I'm thinking there's no way I want to take all those layers to and start adding color, but I also didn't want to smush them permanently. So I went up here and I did quick export, which saves it as a flat JPEG image essentially. And I did that, and then I started a new canvas where I had just that image. And basically, like the color wheel, I put it on top, the color wheel resource. I put it on top. I changed its, oops, I was on the wrong one there. I changed the blend mode to multiply so that all that white was just see-through, and it's line art now on top. And then I locked it. I locked the layer so I couldn't accidentally paint on it. Okay. So then I started with my sphere, obviously, and I added a new layer for like every ring that was like going around, you know. And I started with this, the lightest kind of purple right here in the middle at the bottom. Pick the purple that I wanted. And my idea was to make the sphere look round, you know. And so I started with that purple, and you can kind of see my method. I would like scribble across a line from one side to the other. I did not fill it in full because I knew that I would be like making adjustments as I went. So I filled it in like a line, and then I would use my color picker down here in the corner like this. And I would go ahead, like if this was the color, then I would try to find like the next step that I wanted for value. Then I would color a line between, and if it looked good, I would do that on both sides so that I was working my way out. Then I would scribble again. Then I would use the eyedropper if I had to, go down to my, look at all my reasons. Then I would go to the swatches here, the color picker, and I would pick the next one, and I'd be going back and forth like that until I found like a sequence that I liked. And then when I went to the next row, I went back and picked with the color picker or the eyedropper this one. And then I, instead of going in this box, I moved along this. And my idea was to slowly move into the blue territory as I went up. So not only was I moving along like with the shades, but now I was going up slightly into blue. So I was thinking of it like an apple. So not only was it getting a little bit lighter as it came up, or a little bit darker as it wrapped around the side, but also a little bluer until I got to the top, which is like the shoulder of an apple. And that's where you usually get like a little bit of a tint before it rolls back in where the stem is. So that's what I'm working on right now, is that little bit of a highlight as it rounds over the top, and then it gets deep again as it goes back in. So I'm not sure, you know, about that part, how it is going to look. It's on this layer, but I'm, you know, experimenting and trying. So as far as the rest of the color scheme is going to be going, I like the cool versus warm interplay. I always have. So right now, I think that the live painting with the watercolor that's going to be on the drippy part, and it's going to definitely start dark, like a shadow, or like the purple kind of oozing out. But I don't know if it's going to change. I'm thinking that I'm going to have something warm in that inner circle, but I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna have to try some things and then see. But that's the great thing about Fresco and Photoshop is that I could try things on different layers and then decide if I like it or not, and get rid of it or change the blend mode or, there's no risk in trying things like there would be on like real materials and what have. I mean, even that, there's not a huge risk. It's just, materials. So I wanted you to see that, how my process is going, um, in case maybe that helped sort of inform your